Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pass the Wire Office Studio War Room, all rolled up in one. Glad you can join me for a little chat this evening about two things I think are pretty important in horse racing right now. First, I'm only going to briefly touch on this because I really want to touch on topic number two more than this topic, even though they're probably of equal importance, and if anything, the first topic, which is the Horse Racing Integrity Act, which looks like it's going to be a reality, is probably the more important thing of the two things that I'm going to talk about. It looks like the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act, as it's now called, is going to pass and be a reality in the next year or two, depending on the timeline and how it actually plays out. And is it perfect? No. But I don't think anybody can reasonably argue that the horse racing industry did not fail as a whole to police itself and clean up its own yard. We all know that that's just a cold, hard fact of life. They missed the boat on cleaning the game up and doing things that should have been done and should be done years ago, not now. It took the federal government and the FBI to come in and indict some trainers for illegally drugging horses. That case is still pending, but we all have a pretty good idea of how it's going to go. And the industry just allowed what was going on to go on, and even lauded some of these guys in different ways at different times. We need uniformity, we need regulation, we need things to improve drastically if this game is going to survive. The Horse Racing Integrity Act is going to create uniformity as far as drugs, testing, what's legal, what's not legal, and it's going to bring all the states under one umbrella, which is going to create uniformity where we desperately need it. I mean, let's face it. What is the argument against it? Oh, we'll get to the main argument, which is funding. But the argument against it is, the government messes everything up. It's too much regulation. It's too much. I get all of that, and I don't disagree with it. But we blew it on our own. We can't do it. We can't stagger post times. On big races. We're going to work together to regulate the industry. No, epic fail. Didn't work. Too late. Ship sailed. This is a reality. Embrace it. It's probably for the better of the game in the long run. And it's certainly probably better for the horses. It is what it is. People talk about, funding. It's going to be left up to the states and the individual racetracks, which are going to be mandated to join, how they fund it. And, it's interesting. A couple of people, pretty high up and respected in the industry already have said, first thing they're going to do, and, all the bettors that are saying this is good are going to be so unhappy when they raise takeout to fund it. And they probably will try and do that, and they may or may not succeed. That is an epic insult, slap in the face. They are telling you, any racetrack or state that tries to race takeout to police the industry, they're saying, in essence, they are saying, we failed, we can't police the game, so now we want you, the bettor, to pay for it. I mean, seriously, that's what they will be telling you if they try and race takeout. You know what I would say to that? I'm not going to say it on a video because I don't know, ladies and children watch, but next, what they bank on, and what they have banked on, and they've been right for the most part for years, is that we're going to bet no matter what. That may be true for a lot of people. It's absolutely not true for me. My handle is 1/10 of what it used to be, and it could be 100th of what it used to be if I so chose. But I don't because of things like this. Now, hopefully, enough people will be against raising takeout, and bettors will finally realize that, hey, takeout's too high now. I mean, they'll make it impossible to beat this game. It's already next to impossible. They want to make it completely impossible. I say, before you even start talking about takeout, take all these top-heavy racetracks and executive salaries, and there are plenty of them out there, and all these overpaid people that care about nothing but another big fat paycheck, not the industry, not the horse, not the bettor, not the owner, not the breeder. Their next check, direct deposit, is all they care about. I say cut a lot of those people, cut those salaries across the country, all these top-heavy organizations, and what are you going to have? You're going to have a couple of $1 million to start the funding before you even start talking about takeout. So do that, and then talk to me about takeout. Until you do that, don't even go there, because it's an insult. It's an insult to me, my intelligence, and it should be to anybody who's listening to this and anybody who realizes that. I mean, that's just like bad. No. Next, get out of here with that. Okay. The Horse Racing Integrity Act, I read the new act. I read the article in the Daily Racing Form that kind of, brought out the negatives, and one of which was, well, where's the funding going to come from? We don't want more takeout. We covered that. Is it perfect? No, but it's an absolute step in the right direction, and unfortunately, we failed to do anything on our own. What do you expect? If you don't clean up your backyard and you expect people to play in it, somebody else is going to clean it up for you, and that's ultimately what happened here. So I'm all for it. I say hello, welcome. The sooner you start, the better. And it's probably the closest thing we will ever get to a central governing body, because if we ever had one, how would we ever agree on who's going to be on it? Like I said, think we can make it? We can't stagger post times. We can't fix the little things. How are we going to fix the big things? Horse Racing Integrity Act, step one, right direction. Agree, disagree, I'm more than happy to discuss it, but that's how I feel. Next thing I want to discuss on this video is speed, the need for speed. This game is based on times, speed, fractions. It's a game of skill. It's not really promoted and sold as much of a game of skill as it should be. That's another area that industry executives missed the boat on. But it is truly, and used to be more so than today, but it's still a game of skill, and should be sold, marketed, and portrayed as such, and should be run in a way to protect the integrity of the game, so that skill in handicapping and deciphering races matters. And I don't think that they're doing that, and I'll tell you why. Okay? I don't think anybody is better at finding discrepancies in times than Craig from Timeform US. The guy is great at it. He spots discrepancies in times in a sport that's based to a large degree on time, and says, hey, this race is wrong, that race is wrong. He hand times them, gets new times, which then creates a need for new speed figures. Speed figures are a very important part of this game. Handicapping times are a very important part of this game. They help us decipher what we think the pace is going to be, who's going to be where at what point in the race, who's going to be running fastest at the end, and who's going to cross the wire first. Speed, time, fractions, all of that plays a big, and speed figures, a big part in many of our analysis of that, and how we ultimately choose to make our wages. Now we learn that, and it's something that many of us have suspected, and we've all seen races where, like, those fractions just don't look like they could be right. They just don't. And we sit there, we scratch our heads, and we take their word for it. And it does say on every past performance that I've ever seen, and every website I've ever downloaded or looked at information on a horse race, this information is accurate. As far as we could tell, we're not responsible for inaccuracies. Well, guess what? Turns out there's a lot of inaccuracies that you're not responsible for, and people are betting money based on calculations, based on those inaccuracies that we trust you to make sure are accurate. Now, time is not a very complicated thing. It's simple. Fractions of seconds, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, 60 seconds. It's not a complicated thing. We all know how to tell time. We all know how to keep time. Timing of horses should be no different. It should be an exact and precise science. And if the fractions are wrong and the times are wrong, then the past performances are wrong, and the buyer numbers are wrong, and the Thoro-Graph numbers are wrong, and the Ragazins are wrong, and the Brisnet numbers, and the time form, and every other number that you're looking at and relying on to bet your hard-earned money, or however you got it, on is wrong. Simple as that. It's you know, that's not acceptable. Newsflash, that is not acceptable. That is not a little deal. That's a big deal. Okay? That's a big deal that should be corrected and should have never happened in the first place. One of the inherent problems to that, and some people don't notice, most people notice now, but the way they time races, in my opinion, is wrong from the beginning, okay? A lot of people think a 6 furlong or a mile race, the horses race and actually run a mile or 6 furlongs, and that's the time, okay? So let's use 6 furlongs. They run the 6 furlongs in 1 minute, 8 seconds, and whatever. No, they don't. There's a run-up, okay? There's a distance that the horses run. They move the gate back past the 6 furlong mark, and the horses run, be it 70 yards, 100 yards, 150 yards, 50 yards, whatever it is, it varies from racetrack to racetrack, sometimes from race to race, especially on the grass. But the horses run a little bit, the run-up distance, and you can get that in Formulator and see what they list it as. Whether that's accurate or not, we don't know, because nobody's out there actually measuring and checking that the run-up distance are correct. So we may find out that run-ups that we were calculating and looking in our handicapping have not been right for years either. But let's assume they're somewhat accurate. Now, they run the race based on the distance you see in the racing form or in the whatever past performances you're using, but the distance is actually a little bit longer because the horses are running to the point of tripping the teletimer, and that creates faster final times and faster fractions inherently than starting from scratch, okay? I'm of the opinion that the gate should be at the distance the races run. If it's a 6 furlong race, I want the gate at 6 furlongs. I don't need a run up. Let them break from the gate. Sure, they'll run a slower first quarter because they're not tripping the timer at full speed or at an accelerated speed, and the final times will be slower. Nobody wants that. I mean, horses today in this country, another inherent problem of this sport is they're bred to be sold as opposed to being bred to race most of the time. So when you breed to sell, you want fast times in workouts, you want fast times in races, you want sires that ran 6 furlongs in 108, 107 and change, mile in 133 and change, fast. We've all seen and all know that there are many times they have souped up the racetracks on the big days when the good horses are running to create those fast times, okay? It doesn't happen as much today as it did a couple of years ago. But how many horses had to break down and become of national attention for track superintendents and racetrack management to stop souping up racetracks as much as they used to, or even at all altogether on the big racing days? I hate to even think about it. It's tragic. It's sad. But I believe that that's exactly what happened. So you look at it and you say, okay, they've got this run up, so they keep the times faster and time the races that way. And the excuse, well, that's the way we've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, you've been doing it wrong as far as I'm concerned. It's never too late to fix something that's wrong. It's only bad if you fix something that's not broken. This is broken. Obviously, there are problems with the timing of races. There are problems with the fractions. And that means there's problems with all the past performances in a game that's based on time and we're handicapping. So I say get an accurate teletiming system, okay? One that actually works. These beams, apparently they don't work, the beams. If a bird flies past the beam, it trips the timer and the whole race is off. The chiclets with the GPS, they don't work half the time. There's always an excuse why something malfunctioned or didn't work. I don't care. Do what you need to do. Hire some guys with stopwatches, time the fractions, time the quarters, get it right. People are betting money depending on you guys to get it right. Do your job. Do your job. That's all anybody's asking. Do your job, do it right. It's ridiculous already in this game. Like I said, we can't fix the little games. I don't want this to be a rant. I really don't. But I don't know how else to say it. I love the game of horse racing. I've been involved in it my entire life. Do I have conflicts about it today? Absolutely, I do. And I think anybody with a heart and who understands all the different facets of this game would have and should have. But we love it. We love the horses. We love what they give to us. I think the integrity of the game is at stake in so many ways. The Horse Racing Act that we touched on earlier, we brought that on ourselves. Might as well embrace it. Got nobody to blame but the people running the show. Don't let them say that the bettors have to pay for their mess up. Don't let them do it. Don't let them get away with it. Not even for a second. Okay, if it means not betting on a day, all of us banding together, doing whatever we got to do, don't even let them introduce raising the takeout to pay for their mess up and us foot that bill. But back to the time, I mean, it's something that's got to be fixed. I mean, Craig, Timeform US, he really publicized it and made awareness of it. The powers that be, people at Equibase, Brisnet, the Jockey Club, everybody knows about it now. Let's see what they do. Let's see if they say, well, let's hope this dies down and these people will bet again no matter what, because they've been playing that game. I mean, I've been in this game for literally half a century, and they've been playing this game, that game, the whole time. Since I started in this game, they've been saying, they'll bet no matter what. They'll bet no matter what. And many of us will. I'm not one of them. Don't you be one of them. Insist on a level playing field. Insist on good information with which to make your decision. If you were investing in the stock market, would you go to a guy that was lying to you and giving you inaccurate information and telling you this stock is trending this way, that company's doing this, or that? You probably wouldn't, and you shouldn't. Same thing. It's no different. It's investing your money in. It's gambling, but it's I look at it as investing my money. I play to win and make money and take down scores, and that's what I think everybody who plays this game should play for. And if you do, you need good information. You need accurate times. If the times are off, everything's off. Everything's off. Okay? We've got to factor in cheating. We've got to factor in drugs. We've got to factor in wrong times now, you're telling me? The times are all wrong? How many bets do you think you lost because the time was not right on races you were handicapping and results that happened, and you were scratching your head saying, how did this happen? And now you find out, well, if this time was this and that time was that, then maybe I could have seen this happen. Probably happened to every one of us watching this video. So let's hope that this industry wakes up. I know when I do these videos, I get feedback from a lot of people in the industry, so I know they watch them or they see them, and hopefully they watch this one. I'm not the enemy. I'm not looking to throw stones at anybody. I just call it the way I see it and call it how I think it is. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. I don't think I'm wrong when it comes to these times and what people do with the times and how it's just a domino effect, a boulder rolling down a mountain effect when the times of races are not accurate. They need to be accurate. We need to be investing our money based on accurate numbers. And that's really all I got to say. So we touched base today on two very important things, the Horse Racing Integrity Act, and like I said, I say embrace it. Don't let them ram takeout increases down our throats to pay to police the game that they're supposed to be policing and make things right. And let's insist on accurate times and getting these things fixed. And I would call for races to be timed from the gate when they open. I mean, the people involved in sales, they don't want it. It's not going to matter in the long run. They'll still pay a lot of money for horses. So a horse, now a fast time for 6 furlongs might be 110 instead of 108. What's the difference? Makes no difference. It's better for the integrity of the sport. It's better to handicap. It creates less of a gray area in a game that's based on plenty of intangibles, but plenty of science. Okay? Every time we see a race where we say, wow, I don't understand how that happened, a race on the card or 2 races on the card or a race at another track later will run exactly how you calculated, and you'll be like, yeah, there is a science to this. Okay? It's not a haphazard game. We know that. Okay? We know that. So let's insist on having it where we have the best shot to take down those scores, which is what it's all about. So we'll be back with a couple more videos this week, and then we're going to start rolling them out regularly again. I hope everybody's on board with that, and that's all I got for now. So ciao for now, and we'll be back soon.